Okay, Max, can you explain how you got involved in the Eco Marathon, who your team is and what your role is for the team?
So I'm Max Naylor Marlow. I'm the team principal for Imperial Racing Green. So we're from Imperial College London, and we run a few cars and we build electric drive racing vehicles that are zero emission. So we run off battery electric, fuel cells, similar, and so all our cars they're green, no emissions while driving. And a lot of students get involved in Racing Green at Imperial. We're all part of the mechanical engineering department. A lot of people get involved in third or fourth year. I was third year when I got involved, working on fuel cells, and after a year working on the fuel cell for this car, I was asked to lead the team, so here I am.
And so how long has Imperial been doing it for, and where is Imperial up to with the project, as it were?
I mean, Racing Green have been running cars for 5 to 10 years. The Eco Marathon, this will be our first entry. We started sort of prep work in the previous academic year, so 2014-15. So we've been running for about 18 months now. We're getting close. Okay.
And you talked a bit earlier off camera about where you kind of sourced your car from. Was it built from scratch, or have you pieced it together from other parts? Or?
It's a mix. We tried to build as much as we can in-house. Very kindly, one of our lecturers actually donated an aeroshell to us, which is probably the most complicated single part to build, which is actually the body of the car, out of carbon fibre. That was actually run in the Eco Marathon 20 years ago. Imperial hasn't had an entry for 20 years, and so this will be its second life, as it were. And we've also had help from a spin-out company called Bramble Energy from Imperial. So they've developed new fuel cell technology at Imperial and UCL, and they've been kind enough to help us actually use their fuel cell technology and integrate that into our powertrain design. So that will be something that we don't think any other team will have, and so it's the absolute cutting edge of fuel cells.
What are you guys at Racing Green focusing on this year in particular to get your efficiency as high as possible?
So we're focusing on what we're good at, which is electrochemistry, and so that means designing fuel cells and designing the powertrains that go with fuel cells. So it isn't just a fuel cell powering the car, it's actually a hybrid. So you have the fuel cell actually generates electricity, but we also have an energy storage bank of supercapacitors. And that's what's called a hybrid powertrain. So what we're good at Imperial is developing hybrid powertrains, and so for our first year, our focus is to develop a reliable car that will just set a time full stop. That's a challenge enough, but also we think our sort of selling point is the hybrid powertrain.
And how are you going about, what processes or how are you going about designing and modifying the car?
Well, it's been tough because we don't really have a reference point. The first year of any major project like this is always going to be a bit of a kind of exploratory exercise. The process is always design, make and test. We're engineers and that's what we do. So design something, make it, test it, see how it works, and then iterate. And so obviously individual components within the car, we do that. And then that process is always also broader over the lifetime of the project. So we're designing, making and testing this year at the Eco Marathon. Next year, well, we'll try it again.
We've got the barrier coming over here
by the branding, but anyway.
So and then coming to driving the car itself, what sort of strategies have to be employed? Because presumably the driver themselves has to take a kind of fairly considered approach to.
Yes, it's nothing like driving a road car. The approach is to absolutely minimise the amount of fuel, and you can make a big difference in how you drive just by the strategy. I mean, you think driving on the road yourself, you can really change the way in which you drive, and that can really change the amount of fuel you use. Strategies in the Eco Marathon tend to involve a kind of a burn and coast. So you will say you had a petrol engine car. Obviously, the cars idling are using petrol, so you might burn the engine a bit, accelerate quite hard, and then turn the engine off, and then just roll down. And so a lot of the design work is actually going into how you make the car so it can roll as far as possible before it stops. And when it's almost stopped, you turn the engine on and you accelerate and you go again. So that's what's called a burn and coast strategy. And so we'll be using something like that.
And finally, how do you feel your prospects are for this year's marathon, have you got a target, or are you just trying to get through it?
It's not realistic to expect to win first year. I think a lot of the other teams entering have serious experience. What we are hoping to do is the first year target for any team, which is to actually have a reliable entry and set a time that we can improve on next year. And also we'll be targeting the Innovation Award, so there are off-track awards, and we think our powertrain's got a chance of winning the Innovation Award, so that's what our target for this year would be, that, to win that and set a time on track would be incredible.
Good stuff, well good luck.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Max.